bloody fantastic.
Hey, hello everybody, my name is Good Boy, and welcome to a video on the auto chess strategy of Druid. So there are 4 heroes in Dota or chess that have the Druid category. They would be Enchantress, Furion, Nature's Prophet, Treant Protector, and Lone Druid. All of them are kind of druidy creatures. The big thing that's very good about druids is, above all the other classes, is that it takes fundamentally less heroes or less number of units to combine them together to make bigger ones. So typically you need 3 units. So say you got 3 axes level 1, you group them all together, they group to form an axe with a star, I think it is, or 2 stars, whatever. And then you get another load of axes, 2-star axes that are level 3, you group them all together, and then you get a 3-star axe with, what's it called, that's level 5. And obviously much more tanky, much more powerful, far more robust creatures. Now with the Druid synergy, you requires 1 less. So provided you have 2 Druids, so let's say you have an Enchantress and a Furion, and then you get another Furion, your Furion will instantly combine and go a level up. And then the same again for Treant Protector. And then, if you have all 4, so you have Lone Druid, Nature's Prophet, Furion, and Treant Protector, then what happens is you can have 2 level 2 Treants that become then a 3-star Treant. So effectively, you require a lot less units, fundamentally 2 less units, or is it even 3 less units, in order to come together to create a unit. Now, in terms of their game impact, they are no better or worse particularly than any other heroes. They have other synergies, Beast synergy, and when you have 2 beasts, you get plus 10% damage, and then the other one is the evasion tactic. So naturally, of course, synergizing either other beasts or other elves with them can work really, really well. So a super effective lineup, for example, when you start getting more minions, is putting in things like Luna, who was also an elf and does terrific levels of damage. A Templar Assassin is another good one as well, quite easy to get as you level up, who has quite high game impact. And so on and so forth. You know, you can kind of pick and max. There are other beasts like Venomancer, for example, which are really, really, really effective. But the key thing is its efficiency, and it allows you to get more leveled units quicker. I would say Elf is probably the most popular category to select, because when you get a 3-star Treant and drop him down, he's an insane tank that deals, well, not so much damage, but resists so much damage. And they have to work around him, and he's protecting the rest of your chess pieces from being destroyed. So, you know, really, really, really effective little synergy there. Now, of course, there are... So the general rule for whenever you're playing auto chess is always, and in every single circumstance, always pick Druid pieces, no matter what. Unless, of course, you've got, you know, 3-star... all 4 of them maxed out to the maximum level, then don't pick them. But generally, always picking these heroes is going to be an advantage, because the chances are you'll level them up quicker than any other heroes people pick. And that's even if other people are picking them as well. It's also good to do that as well, because they're so valuable as chess pieces. What you don't want is enemies getting them. So if you pick them, they get less of a chance to pick them. So it also reduces your enemy's advantage. But always going for druids, no matter what, is kind of essential. However, because there are only 4 druids, and there are a maximum of 10 chess pieces, you can actually do lots of other synergies. And the one that's actually, in my opinion, the most overpowered is actually the Goblin Mech synergy. So if you have 6 goblins, they all get massive armor and health regen. That's very difficult to do, because the 6th goblin in the arsenal, not to mention, I mean, one of them's Alchemist, is a goblin, but is techies. So it's quite hard. You have to get to very, very high levels, cycle through a lot of chess pieces to finally get to techies. And so often you get that very, very late in the game, and that can be problematic, to say the least. Not to mention, of course, that mechs are probably one of the most popular things to select as well. But for example, while you're getting your druids, you can also be getting your mechs at the same time. And like I say, as soon as you have 3 different mechs, they all get massive levels of regen, or even better yet, 4 mechs. 4 mechs is perfect. 4 mechs together, they get massive regen, but also you're getting the first tier of the Goblin synergy, in which one hero at random gets massive armor and half regen. And so the strategy can be is that you can build up your mechs and your druids at the same time. depending on how favourable the RNG is. Like I say, it does depend on what you're drawing. Maybe you'll draw more mechs than druids. Maybe you'll draw more druids than mechs. Sometimes you're just getting all druids and not getting any mechs, in which case, great, then just pick other evasion heroes like Luna and the ones I've mentioned. On the other hand, you may be struggling to get your druids, in which case, spam those mechs. Now, like I say, in very rare scenarios, sometimes you'll struggle to get both druids. I mean, like I say, you're always picking druids no matter what. But for example, you may not be getting druids or mechs, in which case you want to go for other high synergy approaches. And one of the best ones after those two I've just mentioned, which are really quite overpowered, is probably warrior, because of the warrior buff, and because it's very easy to get warrior heroes generally and put them all together. Filling your board with a load of awesome warriors, and not to mention Lycan, who is pretty overpowered. They get massive synergy and bonuses, and there are a lot of warriors in the game, so it's very, very easy to get 6 unique warriors. Well, relatively speaking, easy to get 6 unique warriors. So that can be your synergies there. Generally, that's the approach. First druid, second mech, third warriors. Usually you're going to have some kind of pool in there, but like I say, your default position always needs to be pick druid no matter what. So that's the synergy tiers there that I've mentioned there. The other one as well that I wanted to also touch on was paying attention, obviously, to your enemies. So my ranking currently is Bishop 4 at the time of recording this video. I expect it to rise, but we'll see. Obviously, I have had a very impressive win streak. So at the higher tier levels, one of the most important things I need to do is pay attention to what the enemies are doing, and in particular what level they are. So it's a massive advantage when you have 7 pieces and they have 6, or 6 on 5, or 5 on 4, or whatever. And so making sure that you're at least level with your opponent, ideally ahead, is very, very important. And it's more important, to be honest, to do that in the early parts of the game before stockpiling your 50 gold that will give you that massive 5 gold interest every turn. Now that is very important. Typically you can stockpile at level 6. So prior to level 6, you want to mainly be focusing on leveling, because it's quite easy to level, it doesn't take much investment. And then once you do get to your level 6, then you normally want to stockpile your gold, but pay attention to your enemies. If you've got really good leveled druid that are generally winning their battles, and then on top of that, you've noticed that all your enemies, for example, are level 5, then you're free to continue to stockpile. But if you notice all your enemies are actually the same level or a level ahead of you, you need to invest that money in leveling ahead first. Usually, like I say, at level 6, the experience advantage starts to dwindle quite notably. Quite a lot of level upgrades to get to the next level. So at that point, while everyone's stalling, it's a good time to stockpile your gold and then move forward. However, if you are starting to lose massive levels of health, and you're confident you're going to, or you think it's likely you'll lose your next match, and you have got your stockpile, say 50 gold, sometimes the best thing you can do is blow most of it, leveling yourself up to the next level, dropping another creature on the board, repositioning your pieces so that, tankiest first and then the weakest towards the back of your lineup. That extra hero, particularly if it's like a high impact one, say for example you've got, I don't know, a Lich or something, or a Tide Hunter, or just like a high level TA for example, then that can be the difference between winning and losing a match. And don't hold on to that stockpile of bonus gold when you're on low health. Now when you've got high loads of health and you're not going to get knocked out in the next round, then by all means do hold on to your stockpile, but you don't have to have that stockpile if it's going to cost you your life. So do, of course, bear that in mind. Lastly, just a little bit on positioning of your pieces on the board. Generally, the rule is you want to put your tankiest heroes in the first, say, 3 lines, and then behind that, you want to put your usually ranged and squishier heroes that will do. So Luna, for example, for me is always at the back, and Treant is always at the front. Then it kind of depends. The other thing you want to look out for, though, as well, is you want certain heroes' abilities to trigger, but you want them to trigger it, so they have to take damage, or they have to deal damage in order for them to get the mana to activate their abilities. So what I'll do, for example, with Tide Hunter is I won't put him right in the front line. I'll put him behind Treant, for example, and then usually the splash damage or the rage damage or the magic damage is enough for him to activate his ultimate without being killed. And so there is a fine balance. There isn't any like one specific perfect arrangement on the board, but usually if you've lost your previous matchup, it's a good time to rearrange your pieces. And for example, there's certain heroes that have jump, where they can jump like Phantom Assassin or Templar Assassin, or any assassin actually, thinking about it. Positioning them in different places allows them to jump behind the enemy lines, as it were, and kill creatures. Always keep your squishiest range to the very back, and ideally you surround them by your more tanky heroes, so that way assassins can't jump behind and take their heads off. Not always perfect, admittedly, but getting those kind of balances right helps a lot. And that is my advice in terms of some of the best strategies for winning Dota Auto Chess. Thank you so much for watching. Please give the video a like, subscribe, and share. Goodbye.